Imagine this. You are running barefoot, desperate, through a landscape that shifts as you move. The more you reach for the shimmering prize on the horizon, the farther it drifts, like a mirage laughing at your thirst. The ground cracks underfoot. Your legs burn. Your breath is ragged. But the vision ahead is intoxicating. Happiness, love, success, meaning. It must be just a few more steps away. You tell yourself that. You have to believe that. Because to stop would mean losing everything. Or so you've been taught. But now look closer. Notice how the faster you run, the weaker you feel. Notice how the prize itself, the thing you crave most, seems less real with every frantic step. The harder you chase, the more hollow it becomes, until finally you realize you are chasing not an oasis, but a ghost. And maybe, just maybe, it was never running away from you. Maybe you were running away from yourself. Pause, breathe. Is it possible that everything you've been taught about striving, hustling, achieving was a beautiful, exhausting lie? What if desire is not a bridge to fulfillment, but a trapdoor into endless hunger? What if effort, when misdirected, becomes a curse that poisons the very things you love? What if the real conquest is not in reaching, but in stopping? And here comes the most unsettling question of all. What if the moment you stop chasing, you win? Lao Tzu whispered this truth centuries ago, in words the modern world has desperately tried to drown out. By letting it go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try, the world is beyond winning. But what does that really mean? How can letting go achieve what chasing never could? How can surrender birth strength? How can stopping lead to arrival? It feels wrong, doesn't it? It feels unnatural. We have been conditioned from the first breath to the last to pursue, to grasp, to conquer, to want and to suffer in wanting, to wear our endless hunger as a badge of honor. In every schoolyard, every boardroom, every sleepless night, the lesson was clear: fight harder, move faster, want more. And yet, beneath the noise, beneath the restless urgency, there's a quiet place inside you that already knows this is a lie. You've tasted it before, haven't you? In fleeting moments when you stopped striving, maybe sitting under a heavy twilight sky, or laughing uncontrollably with someone you love, or losing yourself so deeply in a book, a song, a kiss that for a few heartbeats you forgot to want. And in that forgetting, you found everything. Not by clenching your fists, but by opening your hands. Not by chasing life, but by letting life come to you. So why, if the truth is already whispering inside us, do we continue to run? Why do we fear stopping more than we fear exhaustion? Why do we believe that to rest is to die, when perhaps it is the only way to live? This is not just a personal dilemma. It is an ancient human wound, a psychological, philosophical, even spiritual sickness, a sickness disguised as ambition, masked by progress, enshrined by culture. You are not alone in your running. The whole world is sprinting beside you into the desert after the same illusions. And yet, if you truly dare, to stop, you will find something so staggering, so luminous, so liberating, that you may never run again. But beware, stopping is not passive. It is not giving up. It is an act of rebellion against the very machinery that keeps you small. The question now is, are you ready to see what you've been running from? Because once you do, there is no unseeing it. There is no going back. And the journey into the hidden roots of this endless chase, into the secret mechanisms that keep you enslaved, begins now. Stop for a moment and peer beneath the surface of your longing. You will find something darker than mere desire. You will find fear. Fear that you are not enough as you are. Fear that stillness means insignificance. Fear that if you cease to strive, you will cease to exist. This fear is not accidental. It is engineered. Centuries ago, Lao Tzu, Buddha, and countless mystics whispered of a profound truth. The self that chases is the self that suffers. Yet modernity, with its glittering distractions and deafening urgency, has done everything in its power to bury that wisdom under mountains of noise. Where did it begin? Imagine a child. At first, they're whole. They exist without needing to prove their right to exist. A baby's laughter, a child's awe. These are pure being, untouched by ambition. But soon they are taught. Praise becomes conditional. Love becomes a reward. Achievement becomes identity. You're good if you get the A. You are worthy if you win the trophy. You are lovable if you succeed. And thus begins the splitting of the self. Thus is born the runner and the race. Carl Jung called it the creation of the persona, the mask we wear to survive the expectations of others. Over time, we forget that it is a mask. We mistake the chase for life itself. But the shadow, the part we exile in our rush for approval, festers. It waits. It aches to be seen. And so, you're left suspended between two ghosts, the future you are chasing and the self you are abandoning. Now, think of Nietzsche, who warned that when we gaze too long into the abyss gazes back into us. The chase is an abyss, a bottomless hunger that reflects our deepest insecurities back at us, magnifying them until they become all we see. You were taught that chasing would quiet the abyss. But what if the chase is the abyss? Arthur Schopenhauer went even further. He claimed that, the endless, blind striving of all living things is the root of suffering. Not because we want the wrong things, but because wanting itself is an endless torment. Desire breeds suffering. Fulfillment, even when attained, is fleeting. You run and run, only to find that even when you touch the prize, it evaporates like mist between your fingers. Aldous Huxley echoed this tragedy. In a society drunk on progress, the human spirit is devoured by consumption. We are trained to want newer, faster, louder, shinier. Satisfaction is not the goal. Perpetual craving is. Thus you are trapped, a prisoner with invisible chains, chasing keys made of smoke. Why do we fear stopping? Because stopping means facing the horrifying possibility that we have been duped, that the ladder we've been climbing so furiously is leaning against the wrong wall, that the person we have been striving to become was a ghost story told by a culture drunk on delusion. Jean-Paul Sartre spoke of bad faith, the self-deception that allows a person to pretend they have no freedom, to escape the unbearable responsibility of choosing their own path. Chasing offers the illusion of meaning without the burden of true authenticity. If I am busy chasing, I do not have to ask whether the chase is worth it. If I am exhausted from striving, I do not have to confront the terror of standing still, of hearing my own soul's whispers. Can you feel it? The gravitational pull of the chase is not fueled by hope, but by terror. Terror of silence, terror of insignificance, terror of seeing ourselves naked, without the ornaments of achievement. And yet, within that terror, hidden like a pearl in the deepest darkness, there is freedom. Viktor Frankl, who suffered unimaginable loss and horror in the concentration camps, realized something that our modern world still resists. Meaning is not found by chasing pleasure or success. It is found by facing suffering with courage, by finding purpose beyond the self. In the chase, you are imprisoned by the endless demands of your ego. In the stillness, you can hear something greater calling. But this truth is dangerous to the machinery of society. An economy built on consumption requires dissatisfaction. A culture built on comparison requires insecurity. A system built on speed requires you to be terrified of slowing down. Thus, the lie is perpetuated. Keep running. You're almost there. Almost. Always almost. But what if the race itself is a hoax? What if there is never a finish line? What if the real tragedy is not that you have failed to catch happiness, but that you were taught it needed to be chased at all? You see, the roots of this sickness are deep. They are tangled in your psychology, your culture, your very sense of self. Pulling them up will hurt. It will shake everything you think you know about life. But only by seeing the machinery can you begin to escape it. Only by daring to stand still in a world that worships motion can you reclaim your soul. Now, what happens if you don't? What are the unseen consequences of continuing this endless, beautiful, deadly race? Prepare yourself, because the cost is higher than you think. You think the chase is merely exhausting you. You think it's only stealing your peace, your breath, your sleep. But the truth is far more devastating. The chase is reshaping your soul. Every moment spent running etches deeper grooves into your mind. Neural pathways carved by desperation, by fear, by hunger. The brain adapts to what you ask of it. If you ask it to crave, it will learn to crave. If you ask it to run, it will forget how to rest. If you teach it that enough is a myth, it will banish satisfaction from its vocabulary. And over time, you lose yourself. Not all at once, not in some cinematic collapse, but gradually, like a cliffside eroded by invisible winds. You lose the ability to be without becoming. You lose the ability to love without owning. You lose the ability to live without achieving. This is the hidden rot beneath the shining skin of modern life. Cognitive dissonance begins to gnaw at you, your deepest self, yearning for stillness, authenticity, connection, clashes violently with the persona you've built to survive the chase. You smile, but it's hollow. You succeed, but it's empty. You are seen, but you feel invisible. And you tell yourself it's just a phase, just one more promotion, just one more accomplishment, just one more sacrifice. But the finish line keeps receding into the mist, because the system was never designed for you to reach it. You are the product, not the victor. In a world fueled by dopamine loops, you are nothing more than a node in a vast web of manipulation. Every notification, every advertisement, every curated image is a whisper. You are not enough yet. Keep chasing. Neurologically, the brain rewards anticipation far more than attainment. The thrill of almost is far more chemically potent than the satisfaction of arrived. The system knows this. It feeds you promises, not fulfillment. And you, unknowingly, become addicted to the state of pursuit itself. But the consequences go deeper still. Societally, we have built empires on this sickness. We reward the most exhausted. We celebrate the most relentless. We canonize the most insatiable. The result? A culture staggering under the weight of burnout, depression, anxiety, disguised as success. A society where to say, "I am enough," is seen not as wisdom, but as laziness. A world where children are taught to build resumes before they build selves. And the soul, wild, luminous, untamed, is strangled before it can even learn its own name. What happens when a person forgets how to stop? Relationships become transactions. Joy becomes performance. Creativity becomes productivity. Love becomes leverage. Life itself becomes a to-do list, a scoreboard, a never-ending audition for a role you didn't even choose. And beneath it all, something sacred withers. Something ancient. Meaning, because meaning is born in stillness, not speed. Meaning is felt in the quiet moments, the unmeasurable, unmonetizable spaces where being eclipses doing. When you're trapped in the chase, you do not have time for meaning. You only have time for the next milestone, the next trophy, the next flicker of applause. And so, day by day, step by frantic step, you march toward a silent catastrophe, the death of your authentic self. Jean-Paul Sartre called this living in bad faith, becoming an object among objects, letting others define your worth, your path, your destiny. You chase the image of a life, while your true life waits, untouched and unclaimed. And when at last, perhaps in some distant hour of regret, you stop and look back, what will you see? A life lived for others' approval. A life spent chasing goals you never truly chose. A life where every summit revealed another, taller mountain. You will realize, with a sorrow so vast it steals your breath, that the chase was not the means to life. It was the thief of it. But why doesn't anyone warn you? Because everyone is running too fast to notice. Because stopping is seen as failure. Because in a machine designed for endless motion, stillness is an act of rebellion. And rebellion is dangerous. Imagine if you truly believed you were enough right now. Imagine if you refused to buy another thing to prove it. Imagine if you walked away from the race, from the scoreboard, from the illusion of someday. You would be free, but the system would lose a perfect runner. And so the cycle continues. The invisible chains tighten. The pace quickens. And all around you, bright souls dim, trading their brilliance for validation, trading their being for applause, trading their precious, fleeting lives for a hollow dream they were told to chase. Can you feel it now? The cost is not fatigue. The cost is not disappointment. The true cost is your life. The real tragedy is not that you might fail to catch the prize. The real tragedy is that the prize never existed. Only the running did. Only the losing. Unless you dare to stop. Unless you dare to turn around and see, with unflinching eyes, the wasteland left by generations of beautiful, talented, worthy souls who never realized. The moment you stop chasing, you win. But stopping is not passive. Stopping is not surrender. It is the beginning of a rebellion. And in the next breath, we will uncover the first act of defiance, the first crack in the prison walls, the first glimpse of a life that does not need to be chased because it was never lost. It has been waiting inside you all along. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a vast, roaring highway. Hundreds of thousands of people rush past you, faces blurred with desperation, arms flailing, eyes fixed on distant mirages. Their footsteps pound out a single, deafening rhythm. Faster, faster, faster. And for the first time in your life, you stop. You step out of the current. The silence is jarring. The stillness is violent. Every instinct screams at you to run, to rejoin the swarm, to not be left behind. But you don't. You stand, you breathe, and something shifts. You realize the road was never leading anywhere. The race was never real. The first act of rebellion is simple, yet shattering. You refuse to run. But rebellion, true rebellion, demands more than just stopping. It demands burning down the false idols within you. First, you must confront the lie of becoming. You were told you must become something to matter. You must achieve something to be loved. You must transform yourself into a spectacle to be worthy of attention. But Lao Tzu whispers across the centuries, when you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. You do not need to become. You need only to remember. Remember the self that existed before you were taught to chase. The self who loved for the sake of loving. The self who created for the sheer ecstasy of creation. The self who existed not as a project, but as a miracle. This is not regression. This is resurrection. Second, you must dismantle the architecture of striving within your own mind. You must catch yourself in the act of reaching, grasping, hungering, and ask, what am I running from? Is it fear of insignificance? Fear of being forgotten? Fear that without accomplishment, you are nothing? Face these fears. Stare them down. See them for what they are. Illusions spun by a culture terrified of its own mortality. Nietzsche spoke of the Übermensch, not the one who dominates others, but the one who overcomes themselves, who dares to create their own values in a godless, chaotic world. To break free, you must become your own sovereign. You must declare, I am not what I chase. I am what I am. Third, you must reclaim the lost art of presence. Presence is not a luxury. It is your only portal back to your own life. Sit with your discomfort. Taste your food slowly. Walk without a destination. Listen to another human being without preparing your reply. In presence, you rediscover the miracle of existence itself. The colors become brighter. The sounds become sharper. The moments stretch out into eternity. You realize this was never about chasing life. It was about being awake enough to receive it. Fourth, you must rebel against the cultural machinery. You must become a heretic in a society of addicts. Refuse to define your worth by your productivity. Refuse to see rest as laziness. Refuse to measure your days by checklists and trophies. Instead, ask, did I live today? Did I feel today? Did I love today? These are the metrics of the free. And when the world mocks you, when it tries to shame you back into the race, smile with the quiet knowledge of one who has glimpsed the truth. They are not living. They are running. Lastly, you must practice radical acceptance. This is perhaps the hardest rebellion of all. Accept that you are mortal. Accept that you are imperfect. Accept that life is not a ladder, but a garden meant not to be climbed, but to be tended, savored, and eventually surrendered. Arthur Schopenhauer taught that suffering is woven into the fabric of existence because desire is endless. But what he glimpsed dimly, others have illuminated with blazing clarity. When you stop demanding that life conform to your ego's dreams, when you stop clawing at existence, when you stop demanding that you must win, and instead surrender to the flow of being, you are free. Free not in the shallow sense of doing whatever you please. Free in the deepest sense. Unburdened from the need to become anything other than what you already are. This is not passivity. This is the fierce, trembling courage to exist fully without conditions. To stand before the universe, naked and unashamed. To say, I am not chasing. I am not becoming. I am. And in that sacred declaration, the entire machinery of falsehood collapses. No longer can the advertisers manipulate you. No longer can society's hollow metrics define you. No longer can fear govern your every breath. You walk, not toward a goal, but as an act of joy. You love, not to earn, but because love is your nature. You create, not for applause, but because creation is how the soul sings. You have not lost the race. You have realized the race was a mirage. And by stopping, you have stepped into reality itself. You're no longer a prisoner of almost. You are home. But this realization, as profound as it is only the threshold. There is one final truth waiting in the silence beyond the chase. A truth so staggering, so luminous, that it redefines everything. Not only are you enough, you are never missing at all, not even for a moment. And when you finally see it, truly see it, it will shatter you and heal you all at once. Are you ready to step into that final revelation? Then come closer, because the final door is about to open. Imagine this. You are alone in a vast, silent field at dusk. The last light spills across the horizon in molten gold. The air is still, heavy with the hush of something ancient stirring just beneath the surface of reality. For the first time, there is no chase, no path, no goal, only you and the endless sky. You feel the ghost of a question rising in you, unbidden. If I am not chasing, if I am not becoming, what am I? You stand there, trembling, not from fear, but from the immensity of the realization beginning to awaken within you. You are not the seeker. You are what was being sought all along. The love you chased in others? It was your own love waiting to be uncovered. The success you hungered for? It was the recognition of your own inherent worth. The peace you thought was hidden at some distant summit? It was curled softly within you, waiting for you to be still enough to notice. You were never broken. You were only taught to believe you were. You were never lacking. You were never almost there. You were and are and always have been whole. The chase was the illusion. The becoming was the mirage. The hunger was planted in you, carefully, by a world terrified of what would happen if even a few souls woke up and realized. You are not a product. You're not a project. You are not a pursuit. You are existence itself. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But what if you have always been that already beneath the noise? What if the becoming was never the point? What if the point was to see, to truly see, that you are already the miracle? The tree does not chase its own branches. The river does not strive to reach its own waters. The stars do not hurry across the sky to prove their brilliance. And you do not need to chase your own being. You are the tree. You are the river. You are the stars. You belong without earning it. You are enough without proving it. You are loved without deserving it. Because you are. And in that instant, when you surrender all striving, you feel it, a great aching tenderness flooding you from the inside out. A weeping joy so raw and overwhelming that it feels like the entire universe is breathing through your chest. You are the home you were searching for. You are the peace you were running toward. You are the love you believed was somewhere beyond the horizon. And you have always been. You fall to your knees, not in defeat, but in awe. You laugh, a wild, broken, glorious laugh, as the truth burns through every lie you were ever told. There was never a race. There was only this breath, this heartbeat, this moment. The kingdom of heaven is not elsewhere. It is here. The awakening does not happen someday. It happens now, in the stillness where you finally dared to stop. The moment you stop chasing, you win. Not because you grabbed the prize, not because you reached the finish line, not because you proved yourself worthy. You win because you remember there was never anything to prove. There was never anything missing. There was only the forgetting. And now, there is the remembering. This is the final rebellion. Radical being. Not passive but potent. Not complacent but courageous. You walk through the world differently now. You do not grasp. You do not hunger. You do not beg. You offer. You radiate. You bless. Your very existence becomes an act of quiet revolution against a world still thrashing in the chains of scarcity and striving. You love without hooks. You create without chains. You live without debt to an imaginary future. And the world will not understand. They will call you naive. They will call you lazy. They will call you foolish. But somewhere deep inside, they will also feel it, the unsettling, electrifying freedom that radiates from you like a song they half remember from a dream. And maybe, just maybe, your refusal to chase will plant a seed in them too. A tiny crack in the armor. A question, what if I don't have to run either? And in that question, the revolution spreads. Quiet, patient, inevitable, until one day, the race collapses altogether. Not with a bang, but with a sigh of collective relief. Until one day, humanity remembers, we are not what we chase. We are what we are, and it is enough. It has always been enough. It will always be enough. You rise from the field as the last life fades, carrying nothing, chasing nothing, lacking nothing. You walk slowly, reverently into the night. Each step a prayer, each breath a victory, each heartbeat a song of liberation. You have stopped chasing. You have won, and the world, though it does not yet know it, has won with you.